talking about the Antminer S19 96T Bitminer processor. Now, the last few days, I've got lots of statistics for you. So today, I'm going to show you from the wall outlet all the way up to the breaker panel, and then back down to the Bitminer, one step at a time, without all the noise, so that you can actually see how everything works. So from a solar perspective, the Bitminer can use a lot of electricity. It runs at about 3,200 watts, which is about 3.2 kilowatt hours every hour. And that equates to, if you ran it all day long, somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 kilowatt hours a day. So for my little solar shed, that it generates approximately 15 kilowatt hours, and we'll go through some statistics here in a little bit, this is going to consume quite a bit. Now, I have learned that it can operate in a reduced capacity, and that reduced capacity runs at about 2,000 watts, which is 2,000 2 kilowatt hours every hour, meaning that it can run at about 48 to 50 kilowatt hours a day. Now, the nice thing about that is, even though it is a 60 to 65% reduction in power, it is only a 15% reduction in the actual output of the machine. So for me, that has tons of time and not enough power, it is very much a good thing to run it at the reduced rate, because I get more output for the kilowatt hour than I do at the other one. Now, if I had unlimited power and was more interested in running as much as possible, then I would switch this to run at full speed, because I'm more interested in output. But for now, it's just a matter of how long every day am I going to get to run it. What I have learned is, with all the input of all the different solar systems over the last couple of days, is I can run from about 9 a.m. to about 4 p.m., 9:30 or so, I think it's 9:30 is what the stats say, to about 4 p.m., which is about 6 hours, 5.5 to 6 hours a day at that reduced rate, absolutely free, without spending a penny on grid power. Now, I am running a combination of solo servers versus pool servers. A solo server is a server that reports your results so that you own the entire winning pot when it happens. Now, the problem with that is that the chances of you winning are a bazillion, chillion, trillion lottery tickets to 1. But if you do it in a pot, then the pot is split, and there's multiple different ways they split the pot. They're different percentage-wise. Some people think that it should be the percentage that you process. Some people think it should be how long you're there. Some people think that you just get paid out get paid out so much for just processing every day, and they get to split it up. There's a bunch of different methods to do that. I like running solo, and I've run a few of those just because I wanted to see some money put into my Bitcoin account to see how it worked and to be able to trace it. And I'll make another video that shows you how Bitcoin works, and that will be part of it. So let me walk you through what is necessary electrical wise to operate one of these Antminer S16s from a solar perspective, or really from any electrical perspective, but it's more significant from the solar perspective because you need to know what it is. I'm going to start off, first I'm going to take this camera here, and I'm going to see if I can raise it up high enough to give us a view of the circuit panel. Looks like that worked really well. Okay, so the breaker box connects directly to the 6000 XP, which you can see here in this picture here. And this 6000 XP is a split phase inverter that outputs 240 volts on 2 legs. It also has a center tap, which allows you to have 2 legs of 120. In this case, you do not need that to operate. You can get a pure 220. I am going to open this panel up and show you the connections for what I had to do to make this work. I had to wire 2 wall outlets. Now, a lot of people use what they call a PSU. And a PSU allows you to connect to a bigger wall plug, like a 30 amp wall plug or a 50 amp wall plug, and provide the PSU power, and it would in turn give you outlets to plug these into. Now, in my case, let me walk across here and put these screws and stuff down. In my case, I'm going to grab the wall plug and kind of show you what one of those looks like. You can get a 30 amp plug that looks like this or this, and these are basically a 30 amp with ground and a 30 amp without ground. In the case of this, all you need is this plug here, but this provides 30 amps of 240 volts. You can plug this into the PSU, which is basically a surge protector for large high voltage, and it will split it into multiple plugs like this one down here. But before I get there, I want to show you the breaker panel so that we can close that and move on to the next piece. So the breaker panel box has a 30 amp circuit here, which has one hot and two hot, a common, and a ground. Now in this case, you'll notice these three wires coming out of this down here are what runs to that 220 outlet. There is no common, as although this is split phase, I am only using the 220 from this thing. So it is a 3-wire system, hot, hot, ground. That runs to these wall plugs that are down here. So let me take you down here now and show you what these wall plugs look like and how they operate. So building this system, I learned that I needed to have a 220 outlet. Now a 220 outlet, and I'm going to show you the difference between a 110 outlet and a 220 outlet. It is very common for people to confuse a 110 outlet with a 220 outlet, but they do not work the same. So this being an outlet that you plug into a 220 has a vertical pin on the left and a horizontal on the right. And I'm talking about when you're pointing it in. Vertical pin on the left, horizontal on the right. But if you look at this 110 plug, and I'm going to turn this camera because it's not long enough to reach, the plug's not long enough to reach over here. There it is. You'll see here that it is exactly the opposite. It has a vertical plug on the right and a horizontal on the left. And the reason they do this is these are 20 amp plugs and these are 15 amp plugs. And they don't want you to be able to plug in a device that uses 20 amps of power into a 15 amp plug because it will blow. Now, if I go up just a little bit, I can show you I do have 20 amp plugs there for 110. And it will match the 110 plug that I have with the vertical on the left and the horizontal on the right. But that is not the same as down here on these 220 plugs where I have the horizontal on the right and the vertical on the left. Now, there is also a 220 plug where they're both horizontal, and that's why you see this combination here. But do not confuse this with a 110 when you're installing your wall outlets, because your cords from your Bitminers will not plug into them, or worst case scenario, you will damage the actual plugs. Now, because the power out usage of these is so high, they have created in these Bitminers the outlet that plugs into it. Two of them provide the same source. Now, I am unsure if both of these need to be on the same L1 and L2. In other words, the same 220 source, or if it can be completely independent. I put them on the same, and a PSU puts them on the same, and that's why I did it. But I would stick to that for now. I would not try to experiment with this because it's a very expensive machine to break. You could probably contact the manufacturer and get an answer on that though. So once you have those two connected and you have a breaker that is sufficient to support the Bitminer you have here. Now, keeping in mind, if you do the math for something like this, you have 3,200 watts of power divided by 240 volts gives you 13.3 amps. So these plugs are rated at 20 amps, and the breaker and the wires that I've installed is rated at 30 amps. I oversized them a bit with the intent of using one of these and then having a PSU, and in the future I will change that out for this plug and connect a PSU so that I can run multiple machines off of one single circuit. Today I don't need it, and this was a fraction of the cost of doing the PSU and connecting this plug, where this cost me $8 to $10. A PSU alone, a good PSU, is going to cost me $130, $140. Now, the good news is about the PSU is that some of the features that it carries, like shows you how many volts are going through it, how many amps are going through it, how much wattage you're using, keep statistics and stuff for your electrical use, is wonderful stuff. In my case, it don't matter because I have the solar system that is going to report all of that information to me anyway, and therefore it really wasn't going to help me any. So once you have your outlets installed, and you will need two of them, then you plug both of these in and you plug both of the cords in over here. Now you will also need to have a direct wire connection to the Ethernet here. And once you have that, I was nice enough that the guy that I ordered this from off of Amazon, and we'll talk about price and what's good and what's bad later, but what was nice about him is that he sent this pre-configured to connect. Now it was connecting to his bit pool, but it allowed me to plug it in and ensure that it was functioning before I had to learn how to configure the Axum's actual system. Now, I'm going to flip this on, but I am going to warn you that the noise is probably going to drown out my microphones and it won't work real well. If I can get these cameras, there's a camera there to point at it just right. I think that's got it. Actually, that's still not good enough, is it? There we go. So we have a camera pointing at this side here and a camera over here which shows it from the side. The air comes in this side and goes out this side, but this thing is extremely noisy. So I'm only going to turn it on for a second, long enough for you to see the lights here on this part here. It starts off by pointing, and you cannot see them. I got to back this camera up a little bit. It starts off by showing a fault until it connects to the internet, and after it connects to the internet, then it shows green and allows you to continue processing all of your data. So what we're going to do here is we're going to plug in the Ethernet to that hub, like we talked about earlier, and I've got the Ethernet plugged in. I've got two 220 amp plugs plugged into the wall. Now I'm going to flip the breaker on. Now before I flip the breaker on, me being the paranoid person that I am, I'm going to quickly put the cover back on the panel here because that is live power running through there. I don't have to put all 4 screws back on for this demonstration, but I am going to get the basic cover back on the wall before we move forward. Okay, now that we have all of that, I am going to turn this breaker on, and when I do, this is going to power up and drown me out. What is important for you to watch is that this Ethernet connection will light up. You'll see it communicating. The fault will come on, and then when everything sets and gets done, the normal light will come on. In order to reset this completely and start over, there is, from the app once you find the IP, there is a button that you just say reset factory settings, and there's also a button on the back here where you can just hit reset, and it'll allow you to reconfigure it. Now we're not going to go into the configuration right now, but I will show you another video on doing the configuration from inside while this noisy thing is out here running. So here I'm going to flip the switch on, and you can hear the fans kick on. And you'll see the Ethernet starts to blink a little bit, showing that we do have an Ethernet connection. That's good. And then it's testing the fan, and it says that there is a fault. We know at this point that there is not a fault. So here is where the fault is, but this is as it's booting up. Now once it connects to the bit mining server that I've got configured, then this light will go off. It's tested the fans to make sure that they're working properly. So now it's starting up, and soon after it connects to the bit mining server through the Ethernet and gets packets, it will reset the fault light and go into normal operating mode. And we will wait for that to happen so that you can see it. Matter of fact, I'll see if I can switch this view over for you so you can see it up close. So you can see here, it is blinking as it's communicating, and the fault light is still on while it hunts down the server and gets packets of data before it starts to process. As soon as it makes those connections, it will ramp up the CPUs, which will cause the temperature to rise in them, and it'll increase the flow of air from this side of the machine to that side of the machine. Each one of the 3 boards in this Antminer has 126 CPUs in it that is processing for Bitmine and checking. And there it goes. You hear it starting to ramp up. Usually it does that a couple of times to check each of the boards. And then this is going to blink off, and it's going to take off like a jet airplane. Now, I don't know if you can hear any of this or if I'm having to voice over this for you. Lately, when I've been recording out here and this is running, we get nothing out of it. And I can see from the audio feed, we are getting nothing out of it. So hopefully either the audio on this device or my voiceover will take care of it. All right, so it should be getting pretty close. We're waiting for the fault light to go out so that it has good connection to the internet, and it starts to process. All right, now it's switched and it started to flick normal. Now that it's flicking normal, it is cool enough outside that it truly isn't going to ramp those fans up much more than they probably are right now. And now that the Bitminer is up and running, we can see that it is communicating through the Ethernet here, and that the normal and fault light is on. We have got both 220 volt applications connected, and we've got them connected over there. It looks like everything is going to be great and fine.
Well, I'm glad you were with me for that. We got it all set up and running. And hopefully on the next video, I'll be able to show you exactly how to go in and do the software configuration where you connect to the Amp miner and set it up. This was the Antminer S19 Pro. I enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. I look forward to this summer when we can power this thing and see how much we can do.